Well, good morning, good morning. Nice to see you, Q, and Shreyas. Nice to see you too. So, times are more sort of figurative. They're sort of, ooh, be quiet. What's happening? There was noise. Stuff was making sounds. How do I stop that? Somewhere there's a tab. Stop. So yes, times. I don't really stream to time. I probably should be a little bit more of that. But I thought, let's grab a quick hour this morning to make a start on splitting dev and production output inside build directory. Hey Matty, nice to see you. So there are a couple of and to be honest, I'll be slightly divided. There'll be a couple of things I'm working on at the moment. So one of them is this. I think we can merge in for 3.x. I just need to add a bit of documentation. And the second is I have a pull request that I've just merged. Oh rats! This is my cool little CLI, which basically allows me to, so often we have a like flaky test, particularly on the 3.x branch. And I could click details and go through and then click scroll. I have to scroll back up to the top and click rerun failed jobs. And I have this nice little CLI which just lets me do it automatically, which as in I can select multiple ones at a time. It's super, super nice. Esteban and Yoel, nice to see you. So anyway, that's that I want to test on a project. It addresses an issue with incorrect types for plugin injections. And this I think we can merge. But this is my main topic. I'm splitting dev and production build directory. And this allows you to do something like have a dev server running and also run a build at the same time, which I think is quite a useful thing to be able to do in Nuxt. So let's get going. So basically we have our build directory in our schema, and this is how it's resolved. Split based on dev prod environment. Ideally, I think I would also like to have separate build directories based on a build ID. So that what you can have is cached builds. So doesn't Vite do on-the-fly transformation dev mode? Yes and no. So yeah, Vite does. We have Vite node, which handles that, but we do still create a build directory. So we put other things in there like generated type files and anything that we have to write to the disk. So for example, the Tailwind module generates some Tailwind config and things like that. And so that's not all purely in memory because TypeScript wouldn't be able to access it and Tailwind wouldn't either. So we do still have this. So if I remove the playground build directory there, and then I run a run the sort of dev server, then we still have this whole set of things which are generated there. So a lot of them are purely types, but there are a few that aren't. So there's the sort of Nitro output with sort of information on the project. We have like a stub server, which actually re-exports a Nuxt Vite node. We have the same with the client manifest. We have again some like dev manifest, which will be fetched like from the public directory. And then we've got a few other things as well because they have to be like actually physically imported into something that we don't control. And in particular for Nuxt, that is sort of moving between the Vite and the Nitro environments. Hey Damien, nice to see you. Anyway, so basically what I want to do is ideally have sort of multiple builds. Like it's enough just to split it, and then later the second piece is that we want to have a build time caching, so that if you are rebuilding your project and nothing has changed, we don't actually generate new outputs. We don't need to generate new outputs, and that can potentially be sort of preserved. Thank you, that's really kind. Preserved between builds. So if you have, say, you deploy to Vercel or Netlify or something, and then or Cloudflare, and then you sort of redeploy, we shouldn't need to rebuild it. Like, we should be able to keep, because they already cache the node modules folders. So if we can just keep the cache in place, then that should be a pretty good sort of outcome, and really nice DX. Like if you change a Nitro root and you rebuild, it should be pretty instant. Yeah, it's an early morning. Well, not that early for me. It's 11 in the morning, but yeah, it is definitely a morning start. And this is will probably be about an hour and a half. So not as long as it could be, but hopefully still useful and fun. And okay, so basically there are these two things that I want to do, and so we're going to create feed build separation. And I might do them in separate PRs, in all honesty. So there's a couple of complexities here, I think. There always are, right? So our current behavior is that. The complexity is that if we don't already have a .nuxt folder and we try and build in some other directory, it probably won't work, because we tell people that their tsconfig should extend something from there. So we do actually need to generate that as a build directory if it doesn't exist. So like we need to, what have I done? Why is this not? Oh, it's a comma. So we basically need to, so we basically have to handle non-existent build directory. We also have to handle custom build directories. So basically, if the user provides their own build directory, then we have to handle that. Kira, nice to see you. Yes, it's definitely early today, and it must even be. I guess for people in the US, it will be super early, but maybe not so early if you're further east. Yes, nice to see you, Kirsten. Yeah, good Monday, good weekend. So much to do here. Right. What else do we have to cover? Like figuring out all the edge cases. That's most like, because it's easy enough to just technically do what we would want to do, right? So okay, so basically, if a build directory is provided, we're just going to return that. So we're not going to split build and dev. Or okay, so the question is, we could have two behaviors. We could basically, I'm sorry, I'm not coding on. Nice to see you, Telescope. Part of the question is how we handle this. So we could say the build directory stays as .nuxt, but we use a folder within it for the outputs of the build. Would that work? So because we have dist, and we clear the directory, so probably we don't want multiple things writing to it. We could have a lock file. So basically, we could basically say some things. Okay, so we could say some things can. Okay, so the first question is, would we want a lock file? No, because if that goes wrong, it's a pain. You have to delete the lock file. So that's a question. Second question is like what? So we could basically just say that the outputs. So the outputs are going into a custom directory, but the rest of it isn't. And then the third is we could basically always have something like .nuxt prod or something like that. And because, okay, so the things we have in our build directory at the moment are, we have our actual Nitro output. So we have, so our current contents, we have a sort of a Nitro output. We have types. Now the things, the actual bit of the types here, hey, thanks, Cutland. Okay, that our types are included in our directory too. And we also have a types and RTS configs. And then we have some runtime files, like Tailwind, app config, and so on. And the types are I guess in some ways, like it's the overlap that's the problem, because all the type files are required for example, for Vite to resolve your TS config. We actually need these files. So you can't just change this directory. It will break your server if you're doing it in CI. It might work locally because you will still have the .nuxt folder, but it would break your CI. Joaquin, good to see you. And Bobby, nice to see you too. Okay, I'm going to take a very quick break. I'm just still thinking this out, but let's just have a look. Yep, we've this is past CI. That just needs some documentation. This has been released, so I'm just very quickly going to test this version to see if it resolves an issue that I was facing. Okay, this is the latest 3.x release, and in here. What am I doing? Dev prepare. Often, Esteban, I write it directly to, like as part of writing code. It helps me a lot. So yes, that does resolve the issue. So what am I saying? Package.pr.new. Yep, package.pr.new is great. And I would use it for Nuxt, absolutely, except that we already have a workflow that is doing the same thing but using npm. But I would very much consider doing this with other projects. So like if we don't already have so I mean this is provenance signed, so you basically trust npm and GitHub Actions, which is fine I think for people using it. So I don't feel like there is a Samuel, yes, good to see you. You're right. It is Twitch. You can log in on Twitch. You can also come to Algora, or I think maybe even Twitter, depending on whether Restream is working correctly. So you might be able to do any of those things. Questions. Fetch inside related component or in store. I think it depends on your application model. but either way, I think you can do it badly or well. So I don't think I wouldn't say. I mean, often for me, I think if you're only fetching the data ever for one component, then you directly fetch it in that component. But obviously, once you build a bigger app, you find that you're fetching data, one like data set, and you're using it in multiple places. And then it makes sense to fetch it in the store. I think that is the sort of natural boundary. So before you get to that point, keep it simple, right? No need to over complexify it by creating a store just for data that's only used in one component. Keep it in the component. But when it gets complex, then split it out. So that's weird. Do you have to actually log in through Algora in order to watch? Doesn't seem right. Okay, so I'm just going to quickly finish this PR. Whip. Because I would like to merge it, and it's a good one. So we're going to open our upgrade docs, and we're going to say scan page. Okay, we're going to say we have our whole data fetching stuff. So I think we can pop it here. Okay, this is going to be scanning. Woof, nice to see you. Okay. Expose page metadata. No. Okay, the change here is remove scanned metadata, root metadata from root meta. Okay, so basically what we're doing is it's possible to set some root metadata using define page meta. Such as the name, path, and so on. Previously, these were available both on the root and unroot metadata. For example, root name and root meta.name. Now they are only accessible on the root content. Cool. Oh yes, you need to log in to use that. Does make sense. Okay, cool. This is a result of enabling scan page meta by default and is a performance optimization. Okay, the migration should be straightforward. Okay, great. Const root equals use root. And then console log root meta.name and console log root name. Cool. And we're going to say docs add migration step for x. Cool. Excellent. Okay, I think that should be good. And I think that should be sufficient to merge the PR. Sorry for the distraction. Back to our build directory separation. So this should be kind of extra line break. Hopefully the autofix will apply it. Yes. Okay, so we're splitting dev and production, and so we probably want to do, yeah, this is an issue that we meant to do before the release of 3.x. Right, so let's make it as simple as possible. So we have our build directory, and okay, so hey, Horvath, nice to see you. Okay, so let's see. Do we at any point set it? Yes. So for example, we set our build directory here, and I wonder where that's coming from. So we don't use that in the Nuxt. I think we can get rid of this. Anyway, this is just a bit of our test suite that we have Nitro output directory as well. Again, we don't use it in the test suite at all. So I think it's a holdover from something else. So we'll just remove that. Test, remove custom Nitro build output devs. Ooh, before I do that, okay. Now, do we have our build directory anywhere? It's a custom one. Yeah, so we for example have these, whether we're testing with inline view or not. We also have next option Nitro config. Now this is interesting because we currently expose a build directory for Nitro. This might be a first thing to make separate. Hey Frozen Spirit, it has been a while. I'm getting back into the swing of things though. Yeah, that's an easy one to start with. Do I have preferred ways or packages for implementing queues in Nuxt? Like, what kind of queue? Hello, cat. Like within an app? Like within a front end or within a back end? Do you know what I mean? Like, sort of. Okay, so I think we can pass a slightly different Nitro build directory as a start. Oh yeah, background tasks. I would use Nitro tasks. So are you familiar with the Nitro task API? It's pretty cool. So check it out, Nitro tasks. It's yeah, my cat needs petting for sure. It's she is very sweet. The current status on the latest Nitro version. So when I last talked with Puya, he was making great progress. So H3 is the thing that needs to be landed first. So this is what is worth checking. So like this is pretty. This is the thing to watch probably. And there's more progress, I think, than you might check if you're just looking at the latest main branch. Puya is sort of very close to updating this. And yeah, I know it's it's hard, but we're going to get most of the features that we have waiting. We're going to get them for Nuxt 3.13. So the idea isn't we stop releasing features for the 3.x branch. So hopefully that will make it a little bit better. You're not going to be blocked in terms of the new stuff that we're building for Nuxt. Oh, what's failed here? Another autofix. Test. Okay, I'll have to look at that. Oh, that didn't actually run any tests. Okay, so yes, we're still doing this. If I can get away from the cat. So we have the nitro build directory, which might be relevant. How would we use the build directory here? Components chunk. Yeah, that's an example of something runtime that we actually do need. But why do we ever import that? So we, right. Yeah. Okay, so the challenge is here. I'm trying to think whether we can actually share the same paths for the types, because that would solve the biggest issue. Basically, what I'm worried about is if we have different paths. So we have one path for dev, which is .nuxt, say, and then we have a totally different path for any build outputs. Then it's possible, if you've run dev server with one configuration, to have your types out of date from what you're then going to build with, which would be a problem potentially in an edge case scenario. And this is an architecture question, so we have to get it right. I need to create like a little nest on my desk for the cat. How about I clear all these things out of the way? You can sit there. Yeah, you can do that. Yeah, you go. You go. That would be perfect. She prefers to be where my keyboard is. Right. So, because I mean, the simplest thing is just to have totally different build directories. Okay, so the simplest thing is basically to let the user pick the build directory. And if they do, we just directly return that. Otherwise, we generate our own build directory between dev and prod. It's the simplest way, I think. And hi. And if there isn't already a dev directory for the types, we generate it. But that should be part of maybe the CLI, because that type structure is really generated by the CLI. Hello. That is all being done by the cat. Right, let's get. Okay, so basically what we would do is, if there's a value, we're going to return it. we can simplify this in a moment. So if L, right, so then that's set. No more configuration required. If otherwise, we are going to is dev is going to be I hear you. I do. Okay, if it's dev mode, we're just going to return .nuxt. So if it's not dev, then we're going to return a build directory, which has a this is this is an enhanced. Basically, this will enable you to build in parallel to running a dev server, for example. I wonder if that's already allowed by DevTools, right? DevTools can run an analyze command, I think. So we have the ability. Yeah. Okay, so if we have a dev mode, otherwise we're going to otherwise are going to return a what could it be? Node modules. Something like that. Something like that, and we would then use, I guess, the build ID. Which is by default random ID. I am well, thank you, Frozen Spirit. Yeah, so I am. What's latest with me? So it's still summer in Scotland. It's not tremendously, like today is 14 degrees, so it's not super warm. Okay, and we still do have to handle, I think, this. So basically. Okay, so we're handling custom build directory. And we do need to, we're only doing this, I think, if we have a build directory that exists, which we, okay, so to do nuxt CLI should ensure the Nuxter exists. Oh, I guess it depends on a lot. Like if you have access to a pool or water, you know, that makes a huge difference to whether 34 degrees is acceptable. And if you're working, you know, then like if you're, I don't know, that is true. But I do love being in shorts and t-shirts. Like that is a great great way to live. But you're right, you were right. Okay, so if exists, if not exists, sync. So we're always going to use this. So basically we would say const default builder is that, and then we can just return that. Okay. Good. Okay. So basically this feels like what we want, except I think that if we run prepare, it's not going to work. So let me just check that. I think this will. Oh, it did. Let's just see. Well, of course it did. I think what I want to do is say, show me the code. Okay, so it is coming in as dev mode. Interesting. Fair enough. Okay, so that's going to also include the prepare step. So we can also just check. I don't think prepare is going to be respected. So if I were to look, let's just see. Const is prepare is await get. Is my mic quiet? Are other people finding that my mic is quiet? I've moved it a bit closer to me, so it might be a bit better now. Yeah, so we're not pulling that in just because of how it's set, but I think it might be fine because of the okay. Nuxt 4, I appreciate you want Nuxt 4. We're waiting on Nitro's release because Nitro is going to be making breaking changes. We don't want to release 2 majors of Nuxt in a row, and so that's what we're waiting on. But you can test. I think the breaking changes of Nuxt are already merged, so you can always test that using our upgrade guide, and hopefully, like a long period of time to prep is not a bad thing. But yeah, that's what it is. We're also not going to delay new features. So it's not like all the new features will come in Nuxt 4. The aim of Nuxt 4 isn't new features. So I will be releasing the features that make sense in 3.13 and any future minor ones. The weird is that like I've not changed anything on my volume. So this should not be any different. My mic is right here. The delay in v4 of Nitro, I think it's difficult to say. I think just making sure we get the API right. Okay, so this, if I now build, it now should create this build directory. Cool. And if we then look at it, oops. Oh, It's in the playground. So, yep, there it is. An official announcement regarding the delay. What do you mean there have been many? Do you mean there have been many announcements or many delays? Or are you meaning something else? This is actually VS Code. Oh, and sorry, I'm missing a few others. Nitro. So Nitro is it's the server framework that Nuxt uses, but also it's used by Solid Start, TanStack Start, Analog. So yeah, check it out. And you can use it on its own. Oh, I see. Yes. Sorry. This is the thing. Sometimes people think that. Sometimes people think, oh, we need more official announcements. Some people feel that we're saying enough. I mean, I don't. I always want people to know what's going on, but at the same time, I also don't want to. Yeah, we also said this in our initial announcement for Nuxt version 4, because for exactly this reason. So I will say I absolutely hate delays. I hate them. I hate it so much, because it feels like you're letting people down, and it's particularly bad if you have a delay that you don't have control over. So if you have a delay and it's coming from somewhere else, that can feel really bad. In this case, I think it's not a problem. We're not blocked, so we can release new features, we can release bug fixes. There's no issues. Like, the only thing is, when will the breaking changes come? And hopefully that shouldn't make a difference to you, because you can opt into the breaking changes now, if you want to, using our upgrade guide, and check that things work. So I think nothing should be blocked, which means I have very little stress on the release schedule, and I hope you won't have any stress either. Yeah. Oh, Nitro would be great. I'd love it if you did that. That would be fantastic. But yes, no, we said this initially in terms of our timetable. So we basically have to wait for 9. That has always been what we're doing. And to be clear, like, the time that we're taking to release H3 and Nitro is going to make it better in the long run. Like, it's not like nothing is happening. It's sort of, we're making sure that the API changes are good for the future. We have to make sure they're good for at least another year. Okay. Yeah, it seems like we need to just examine that. Right. This is to ensure that the types continue to work for CI builds, for example. Okay, so we'll say feat schema split build and dev prod build directories. And let's see if it works in our test fixtures. And push the PR. I think one of the things is because the UnJS ecosystem is so tightly woven, it's difficult to build, like, you're having to link branches locally and so on. So I think it's a style. Also, I think, yeah, as you say, different people have different preferences and ways of working. Not that there's a right and a wrong. Okay, let's just create the PR. And the next thing that I want to do is add cache support. Okay. Hey, good to see you. Cool. So I think this is acceptable. Let's see, are we going to be passing? Yeah, test fixtures seem to be working. I think the unit test might not. Let's see. Because I think the unit tests do a build directory check, and maybe there's going to be a mismatch. Let's see. No? Yeah. That's a bit different. Okay, so we have our resolve path, and we are resolving app config. And interesting. Okay, why is this not working? Build directory. Ooh. That's interesting. Oh, I think this is actually just, let's try this. Yeah. Okay. Hey, Kiri, nice to see you. Great, I think this might work. I think it might run the prepare step. Let's see what it does. So in our build command, we actually, do we run a prepare step? No, we don't. So yes, there's, do we write types? We do. Okay, but we're writing types to the build directory. So Life skills, nice to see you. So that probably actually won't. So it's a question here whether we write types using a default directory somehow. Okay, so this is, we should specify what this is going to do. This should enable running parallel builds alongside a dev server, or even multiple builds in parallel at the same time. Okay, let's just check that that's true. I've just very quickly said that. Let's try running a dev server on the playground, and we want to make sure there's no like HMR or anything like that, right? So I'll just pull that to one side and pull this to one side, and let's just yeah, seems to work. Okay, and so we can then do that. Could we preview it? That might be an issue. That actually might be a bigger issue. So the oh no, because it's being produced in output. Okay, so that's fine. Okay, I think this might be good. So cool. I might switch to here and just quickly investigate the test failures before we. Okay, so basically the tests are failing. We should update that. Okay, I'm going to go in about 20 minutes, half an hour. Any questions anyone wants to ask, or anything that would be good to look at together? If not, I will make a start on the next bit, the cached builds, this thing. But okay. So cool. See you later, Horvat. Yes, no, exactly. So Kugusna is asking about forking modules. Oh, which weirdly is not coming through on the Algora chat. Let's see if I can. Is that helping? No. Why was that? I periodically do checks for across the modules, and I fork them so that I can make propose changes. And this was about the some type issues in Vue. So not in Vue, but basically we have this. Sorry. Nope. So basically, Vue now wants us to augment Vue, not Vue runtime core, for a lot of things. So Vue routers, but this has to be done by all libraries. So exactly, Bobby, it was for that. So it was basically this, and we've been doing quite a lot of. Oh, sorry, this is the wrong one. This is Fuse motion. This is the PR number. So basically, I opened a range of PRs to some modules, the Nuxt modules that I'm aware of that are using that different augmentation. But there'll probably be other examples too. Then have to migrate, or types will stop working for users, which is a pain, but it seems to be what has to be done. Hey, Patrick. As always, I love your username. No idea why Algora is not so weird. Hey, Enrique, nice to see you. Okay. Okay, I'm optimistic about this. The next thing, I guess, the manifest and the build time speed, and the cache. I am multi-streaming, exactly. Okay. Oh, Johannes, amazing. He's always on top of it, absolutely all the time. So Mohammed, augmenting. So in TypeScript, it's possible to have an interface. So a kind of type which is like an object. And it's possible for different libraries or for a user to add options for that interface. So they can declare keys or even different options for functions. So they're basically alternative signatures. They can add something to the signature. So when you augment the type for an interface, you're adding another valid option to it. So maybe you have an interface like my module options, and by default you have some option boolean. So you might want to say, actually, we now accept more options. So you would do declare module, my module, and you would do something like interface my module options, and you would say another option number. And now when somebody uses that, they would have both of these merged together. So they'd have another option and some option along the line, which I think is Frozen Spirit. Yes, it does feel like that. This is not a great experience, honestly. But as long as we all pull together as module authors, hopefully things will work okay. But this is also not fully a Vue thing. So like partly it's just how TypeScript works. So if we have a look here, just to illustrate the problem. So if you have a case of, so here are two different libraries, pretending, we are saying you can have this custom property. One of it we're doing on Vue, one of it we're doing on Vue Runtime Core. And what's happened is that it only config. This is sort of overriding the Vue version at the end of the day. So that this is the bug in and of itself. And the thing is, it all works fine if you augment the same thing, or even if you have multiple augments. So if we basically did this here and sort of augmented in multiple places, then it works fine. And that is what was happening before with Vue Router. Vue Router was augmenting in more than place, and also was the case for Nuxt. We were augmenting more than one thing. But the thing is, if you do this and augment in more than one place, and someone else only augments in one place, then it's not going to work for them. So we basically, everyone has to do the same thing. We all have to augment only one, or we all have to augment multiple ones. And so that's the deal. Yeah, Bobby is correctly summarizing that. That Vue Router started augmenting Vue Runtime Core about 4 years ago. Okay, add Nuxt commerce template. Cool. This is nice. I will ask Sebastian to have a look at that. He's taking more of a lead on the website. And but great work, Safa. But honestly, I think it would be better if you picked maybe some other images, not just women, and not just selling those things. But that would be a nice thing to maybe do. Okay, the TypeScript gymnastics, exactly. It can make for a great user experience, but at the same time, we also want to make sure that we don't get it wrong. Okay, so this is what I'm looking at, and I'm looking at the test. Oh, I see. Actually, I have to change it here. So basically, name bar, and it should strictly equal that, but it should also have this thing. Okay. Vtest run page metadata. Okay. And we're just going to say test update snapshot and push that up. Cool. Okay, another, and Patrick Jane, by the way, congratulations. It's not coming through at the moment, but so if you can't see it, Patrick says he's finally built a real full stack app. That's fantastic. Do you have a URL to show, something we can take a look at, or are you in progress of building it? Cool. Okay, so we'll see about this. I think obviously that was the only thing failing. This is better, right? Okay. Oh, that was actually fine, I guess. Where was that coming? Oh, that's a different test where we actually specify the dynamic meta key. Okay. Oh, cool. Still learning, but there is a first example. I love it. Okay. And these are like loading spinners, I guess. Cool. Users, posts. Nice. Nice. Cool. The new train line. Is the new train line amazing? Okay, log in, sign up. I'm going to say Daniel, and I'll say Daniel. Cool, I'm in. Create post. Testing. This is the test of. Yes. Ta-da. Thank you, Rob. That's really nice of you to say that you're enjoying it. Good stuff. Loading state is always hard to get right, and it's absolutely worth doing, right? Like it's a really nice thing when you can have a good loading state, so things feel fast for users. Okay, so the next step is the cache here that we want to do. Now, Puya has already created an experimental module, and a lot of what we need to do here is actually just extracting the content of this module into Nuxt. So basically, we hash a number of things, including the git commit, and we have some other patterns that we're picking up, and those things will be the sort of the basis of our hash, so that we change the hash when contents of the project change. We want to include the Nuxt source files, but not the server files, I think, for the cache. Or rather, we would probably want to have multiple caches. We'll have a server cache, like a final build cache, and we'll also have a Vite or Webpack cache, so that we can know whether or not a build needs to run. So we'll probably need to use this functionality in the Nitro integration as well as in the Vite and Webpack builders. And probably the first step is to implement this within the Vite builder and Webpack builder. And we'll probably have, it'll need to be a shared utility in Kit that we use internally within Vite and Webpack. So that, I think, will be quite a fun thing to do. In this better document disabling gzip report. I think it exists, and now we need to document. Nerexius, nice to see you. Yeah, long time no see, but nice to be back. And I think, yeah, I think basically the summer is a funny time for regular things like streaming, because you might be away or just working from a different location. So, but yeah, it's good to be back. Unfortunately, though, I'm just about to end the stream. I think I don't quite have enough time to tackle this next project, which is will be pretty cool. Optimizing build time speed before lunch. So I'm going to end the stream early, and then maybe stream later today, or definitely later this week. But it's really nice to see everybody. Do we want to raid somebody else? Let's see. I can have a look and see if some other streams are around. Who else? White Panther. Oh, it's always worth. Let's see. Twitch. Chat. And we can raid White Panther. So if you're joining on Twitch, then we can send all of us that way. That would be super cool. Otherwise, I very much look forward to catching up with you all another time. Good stuff. Talk to you later and see you later.